World War II was the biggest and deadliest war in global history. It started in 1939 when the Nazis invaded Poland and ended in 1945 when the Allies defeated Nazi Germany and Japan. We're all aware of the Holocaust, the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and the atomic bomb. But did you know that most of today's modern pleasures were shaped by the war? World War II changed the size of families, where they might live, the food we now eat, and the spending habits. In early America, most families had 8 to 10 kids. Life was hard, so the more the kids, the better. If one kid dies, at least you have plenty left to work the field. In 1936 and the Great Depression, families started having less kids. Then, 10 years later, after World War II, families saw hope in their future and babies were popular again. This is where we get the term baby boomers. Now, all these families needed a place to live. The city was no place to raise a family, so they headed to the suburbs, the communities outside the cities. Neighborhoods were established, and with that came increased popularity of organized groups, activities like Boy Scout, Girl Scouts, and Little Leagues. From 1950 and 1960, the number of Little League baseball players went from less than 1 million to more than 6 million kids, and the Girl Scouts increased by 2 million. Twice as many bikes were sold too. Now that family life is so busy and full, moms weren't cooking as many home-cooked meals made from scratch. The food that families were eating changed. When you go to the grocery store, have you noticed the frozen food section takes up 1 or 2 aisles? Have you ever noticed most of the food we eat is processed, quick-fixed food? Well, this is where it all started. The men went off to war and the women were supposed to stay at home, but instead of staying at home, they went back to work. By the end of World War II, more than 8 million women were employed worldwide. This means that families of those women were not getting the usual personal attention that they were used to. Late 1940s, several food companies addressed the issue with the introduction of frozen meals or TV dinners consisted of an entree, potatoes, or vegetables. The term TV dinner started in 1950. In 1955, nearly 70 million TV dinners were bought, and 5 years later, the number bought jumped to 214 million. Families tend to not sit all together at the dinner table anymore. Instead, they lounge on the couch and watch TV and eat dinner. The creator of the first TV dinner was Swanson. The first was turkey with cornbread dressing, peas, and sweet potato. Eventually, other varieties followed, such as Salisbury steak, meatloaf, chicken or fried chicken, and turkey, served with potatoes or bright green beans. The TV dinner aluminum tray was shaped like a television. The entree was the main compartment on the side, and one side of the tray was vegetables, with the smaller compartment on the other side of the tray. Now we've got the happy families in the suburbs doing family things. What are they spending their money on? By the mid-1950s, Americans loved their TV. In 1950, most people listened to the radio nearly 5 hours a day, but within months of buying a TV, that changed to 2 hours of radio and 5 hours of TV per day. By 1956, when half of the U.S. homes had television sets, the average primary school child was already watching more than 3 hours of television a day. With so many homes having television, marketing and advertising were at an all-time high. Advertising was structured around recurring phrases in the advertisements such as new and improved. Companies ran studies to determine the consumer's bliss points and then created food that the consumers craved, which were high in sugar, fat, and salt. promoted foods that nutritionists would not have recommended for children or adults. Even though Americans had access to fresh fruits and vegetables all year long, they still weren't eating healthy. Before, Mom isn't cooking scratch homemade meals anymore. She is using quick fix, canned, and frozen foods. Not only did she have the TCV dinner, she had the cheese whiz, rice-a-roni, minute rice, tang, and sweet and low. With the rise of the automobile culture came fast food, typically being hamburgers, fries. The McDonald brothers opened their restaurant in 1948, and several fast food chains that exist today opened soon after. Burger King, Taco Bell got their start in 1950s, and Wendy's opened in 1969. The takeaway would be that it's interesting and fun knowledge, and it shows the origins about things that we use every day. The next time someone goes out for fast food, eats a frozen meal, watches TV, or even buys Girl Scout cookies, I believe that you will think about this talk.